The harsh truth about life is this: the universe doesn't care about fairness. The sooner you recognize this brutal reality, the quicker you'll stop being crushed by it. While you're sitting here listening, someone with half your intelligence is being admired by thousands. Someone physically weaker than you is commanding authority. Someone with fewer talents than you is already living the life you secretly dream of. Why? Because they've mastered the hidden language of human behavior, the unspoken rules of power and influence, while you've been conditioned to play the polite, predictable role society wrote for you. From the time you were young, you were told to follow rules, be patient, be humble, wait your turn. And while you were doing that, others were bending, breaking, and rewriting those same rules to their advantage. You were taught to be nice, while others were being strategic. You were told respect is something that naturally comes with time, while others were seizing it in real time. The game of life isn't fair. It's structured in a way that punishes those who cling to illusions of fairness. It's a game tilted against those who think morality alone is enough to win. 5 centuries ago, in the ruthless political world of Renaissance Italy, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote about these dynamics. He exposed why men of good heart are so often crushed, while cunning manipulators rise to the throne. His lessons weren't abstract philosophy, they were survival codes. They remain as relevant today as they were then, because human psychology hasn't changed. Those who grasp it gain leverage. Those who don't remain pawns in someone else's strategy. I know this not because I read it in a book, but because I lived it. I once played the role of the invisible man, the one who worked harder than everyone else, who had the right answers but never got heard, who thought merit was enough. I was overlooked, ignored, dismissed. I watched people with half my brain and none of my discipline climb higher than me. I saw liars, manipulators, and opportunists thrive, while the honest and hard-working were treated like expendable tools. That reality was a shock, but it also shattered the illusion I had been clinging to. And here's the truth I learned. The world does not reward intelligence. It rewards perception. It doesn't care about your honesty. It cares about your presence. It doesn't measure your worth by your intentions. It measures your worth by how much psychological weight you carry in the minds of others. Once you internalize this, you stop asking for permission to be respected. You start positioning yourself so that respect becomes unavoidable. Machiavelli lived in a time of betrayal, assassinations, shifting alliances, and endless psychological battles. He noticed one recurring pattern: those who understood how people truly think, feel, and act always ruled over those who didn't. And here's the key: being ruthless doesn't mean being cruel. It means being sharp, strategic, and emotionally untouchable. It means refusing to fight fair in a world where nobody else does. While you've been playing checkers, others have been playing chess. Before I take you deeper, I want you to write down one declaration for yourself. I will never again allow myself to be psychologically dominated. This is not just a sentence, it's the moment you start transitioning from prey to predator, from invisible to magnetic, from disposable to unforgettable. If you're ready to step into dangerous confidence, let's dive into the principles that change everything. The idea that the world is fair is one of the biggest lies ever sold. Fairness is a social myth used to keep you docile. Every time you sit around waiting for fair treatment, someone else is walking off with the prize you wanted. Every time you play by imaginary rules, someone else is rewriting the rule book. Every time you assume people will give back what you gave, you're setting yourself up to be exploited by someone who never intended to reciprocate. Think about your own life. How many times have you shown respect to people who gave you nothing in return? How many times did you sacrifice for someone who disappeared when you needed them? How many times did you wait politely while someone else cut the line? You weren't unlucky, you were conditioned. Conditioned to believe fairness exists when, in reality, it's a psychological leash meant to control you. Machiavelli warned against half measures. If you injure someone slightly, they will remember it and seek revenge. If you dominate completely, they have no choice but to accept. This isn't about physical destruction, it's about psychological positioning. Weak pushback makes you look pathetic and gives your rivals hope they can still beat you. Total dominance removes all doubt, so stop expecting fairness. Stop believing people will treat you well just because you treated them well. Instead, create dynamics where treating you with respect benefits others and disrespecting you comes with real, unavoidable costs. Power doesn't come from hoping others are fair. Power comes from making others fear the consequences of crossing you. Most people think being ruthless means being heartless, raging, or violent. That's not ruthlessness, that's weakness disguised as strength. True ruthlessness is cold, calm, emotional control. It's the ability to act strategically when others are losing their composure. The average person is emotionally reactive. They get triggered, lash out, argue, and try to defend themselves in the heat of the moment, and in doing so, they hand over their power. Why? Because anyone who can push your emotional buttons controls you. The moment you lose composure, you show your weakness. Ruthless people, however, process emotions differently. They still feel anger, frustration, or pain, but they don't let those feelings dictate their actions. They pause, they analyze, they choose the response that strengthens their position. If someone tries to humiliate them in public, they don't blow up and look weak. Instead, they decide, do I ignore this and make them look beneath me? Do I deliver a sharp, cutting remark that flips the script? Do I wait for the perfect moment to strike back in a way that hurts more than they ever expected? Machiavelli said injuries should be dealt decisively, all at once, so they don't fester into long-term conflict. The same applies here. When you must respond, do it with precision. Don't drag it out in endless back-and-forth drama. Make one move so calculated, so effective, that it closes the chapter with you on top. The strongest people you'll ever meet don't scream or argue. They don't let others toy with their emotions. They're grounded, steady, and impossible to provoke. That emotional sovereignty makes people respect and even fear them. Here's a truth most people never want to face. Being liked won't get you power, but being respected will. When people like you, they feel comfortable taking advantage of you. They assume you'll forgive, overlook, and tolerate. But when people respect you, they hesitate before crossing you. They calculate the risks. They know there are consequences. The nice people in your circle are often overlooked, ignored, or quietly disrespected. The ones with psychological presence, the ones people know not to mess with, are the ones who hold actual weight. Machiavelli himself said it clearly. If you must choose, it is safer to be feared than loved. Not feared as a tyrant, but feared in the sense that your boundaries are untouchable and your standards are enforced. Likeable people bend over backward to please everyone. Dominant people don't explain, they don't justify, and they don't apologize for protecting their self-interest. Likable people get anxious about being excluded. Dominant people choose exclusivity. They make others fight for access to them. Likable people say yes because they don't want conflict. Dominant people say no because they understand that their time and energy are resources too valuable to waste. Shift your mindset. Stop asking, will they like me if I do this? Start asking, will this action increase or weaken my influence? The moment you make respect your priority over likability, your entire social power structure changes. Weak people waste their influence through empty threats and endless warnings. They say, "Next time," 100 times, but next time never comes. They try to control with nagging, guilt, or pleading. And soon, everyone realizes their threats mean nothing. Powerful people move differently. They speak less, but when they act decisively. One bold, memorable action carries more weight than 10 empty warnings. Machiavelli advised that if harm must be done, it should be done so thoroughly that retaliation is impossible. In practice, this means don't chip away slowly, don't repeat yourself. Strike once, and strike so clearly that nobody ever doubts your strength again. For example, if someone repeatedly disrespects you, don't keep complaining or quietly stewing. Instead, wait, prepare, then deliver one decisive response that flips the entire dynamic. Maybe you embarrass them publicly with undeniable facts. Maybe you cut them off from something they value. Maybe you demonstrate to everyone else that you won't tolerate their behavior. That single act will do more to secure your power than 100 polite requests ever could. When people see that your actions carry weight, that you don't bluff, they start respecting your words. They start treating you carefully because they know if you act with force. Here's the final truth most people never grasp. The way people see you matters more than who you actually are. Reality is less important than perception, and the person who controls perception controls reality. The highest form of psychological power doesn't lie in brute strength, intelligence, or even raw talent. It rests in your ability to shape how others perceive you. Perception always outweighs objective reality. Most people waste their lives trying to be genuinely good, convinced that their worth will somehow reveal itself naturally. But that is a naive fantasy. Human beings don't sift through the layers of your character to find truth. They don't have the time, patience, or energy to study you in depth. Instead, they rely on quick judgments, social cues, and the stories others tell about you. Your identity in their minds isn't built on who you truly are. It's built on the image you project and the narrative you control. Fail to craft that image yourself, and someone else will do it for you. And when they do, their version will never be in your favor. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. People rarely grasp your true essence. They only see what you choose or fail to display. For almost everyone you interact with, appearance is reality. Your reputation is your currency. Your perceived strength is your actual strength in the marketplace of human psychology. This is why the most effective individuals don't wait for recognition. They manufacture it. They shape what others believe before anyone else has a chance to write that story. This isn't about faking who you are. It's not about pretending. It's about strategically magnifying the aspects of yourself that serve you, while minimizing what weakens you. Consider how modern society works. Two people achieve the same success. One carefully documents it, frames it, and positions it in a way that signals competence and influence. The other assumes the work alone will speak for itself. Who gets the respect, the admiration, the opportunities? Always the one who took control of perception. This truth doesn't only apply online, it operates everywhere. Your body language, tone of voice, clothing, posture, and confidence speak louder than words before you even open your mouth. Walk into a room tall, steady, and purposeful, and you're treated like a figure of significance. Enter timid, hunched, and hesitant, and you're dismissed before you can prove otherwise. Here's the principle. People treat you based on the training you give them. Every gesture, every tone, every choice conditions others on how they should see and value you. And because most people are too distracted or too shallow to dig beneath the surface becomes the substance. Control the surface, and you control the relationship. Perception management isn't theory, it's practice. You choose what details of your life become stories. You decide which wins you showcase and which failures you quietly bury. You position yourself alongside people and environments that elevate your standing by association. You allow just enough mystery to surround you so that others project greatness into the blank spaces they cannot see. You radiate confidence even when you're unsure, because hesitation is contagious while certainty is magnetic. And above all, you guard your reputation like it's your most valuable possession because it island. In a world ruled by psychology, your reputation is either your fortress or your prison. But managing perception is only the beginning. Once you understand the importance of image, the next step is controlling the narrative that flows around your actions. This is where real psychological warfare begins. The ability to shape not just what happens, but how events are remembered, is the ultimate power move. Every action can be painted in multiple colors. Leadership can be spun as arrogance, confidence reframed as ego, strength as aggression. It's not the facts themselves that determine the verdict, it's the story people accept about those facts. Whoever frames the story wins the perception war. And in human behavior, perception is always more influential than truth. Think about conflict. The first person to tell their version of events confidently, persuasively, strategically, usually becomes the one believed, regardless of objective evidence. People don't investigate reality. They cling to the simplest, most consistent narrative offered to them. Machiavelli was blunt. People judge appearances, not reality, because appearances are what they can see and process quickly. That means your power rests in framing. If you don't frame your actions, your rivals will do it for you. In practice, narrative control looks like this. When you make a hard decision, others may resist. You don't allow them to paint you as selfish. You frame the choice as long-term wisdom. When someone attempts to undermine you, you don't just deny their claims, you turn their attack into evidence of their insecurity or jealousy. When you succeed, you don't let others dismiss it as luck. You present it as the natural product of your foresight, discipline, and strategy. The story determines the meaning. Imagine you cut ties with a toxic friend who has drained you for years. Left unchecked, they may tell everyone you're cruel, selfish, or heartless. If you remain silent, their story defines reality. But if you take control early, you frame it as setting healthy boundaries with someone who violated mutual respect. People will see you as wise and self-respecting. Same action, radically different perception, all because you controlled the narrative. True mastery means anticipating these interpretations in advance. You don't just act, you plan how your action will be remembered. You don't just move, you design the story others will repeat. Narrative warfare is not optional. It's survival in the social battlefield. But even narrative control has its limits if not paired with consistent, systematic consequences. And this is where most people fail. They depend on emotion, on anger, guilt trips, or empty threats. That's weakness disguised as authority. Because when your power relies on emotional outbursts, others learn to push your buttons, manipulate your reactions, and test your limits. The higher level of influence is systemic. You create environments where certain behaviors automatically produce certain outcomes, not because you scream or demand it, but because your system makes it inevitable. Machiavelli warned rulers to depend only on what they themselves controlled, never on the whims of others. Translate that to psychology, and it means remove yourself as the variable. Build rules of engagement that enforce themselves. Here's what it looks like in practice. If someone repeatedly wastes your time, you don't argue, you simply stop being available when they need you. If someone consistently takes advantage of your generosity, you don't lecture, you redirect your effort to those who show appreciation. If someone disrespects you, you don't beg for better treatment. You create a dynamic where respect opens doors and disrespect closes them. This is the genius of systematic authority. People can't negotiate with a system. They can't emotionally manipulate automatic consequences. They adapt because they have no choice. And soon, your influence maintains itself with minimal effort, because the rules are clear, predictable, and self-enforcing. But the highest form of psychological influence isn't visible at all. It's what I call silent dominance. Real power doesn't need to scream. Real authority doesn't advertise itself. People who constantly brag about how strong, smart, or ruthless they are almost never are. They talk because they lack proof. True power is quiet, steady, unshakable. It's not declared, it's felt. Think of the most dangerous individuals you've ever encountered. They didn't need to announce their dominance. Their presence alone carried weight. They didn't react to every insult or every challenge. They waited, observed, calculated. While others argued and postured, they planned. Their silence was not weakness, it was strategy. Machiavelli compared this duality to the lion and the fox. The lion inspires fear, the fox avoids traps. To dominate silently, you must be both. You must know when to roar and when to move invisibly. You must be strong enough to strike, but clever enough not to reveal your moves before they're complete. Silent dominance means people realize your influence only when it's too late to stop it. By then, their options are gone, and your control seems inevitable. In practice, this means you quietly build alliances without drawing attention. You gather information while revealing little about yourself. You expand influence through actions that look natural rather than calculated. You let rivals weaken themselves without ever knowing you were behind the shift. Your power grows in the shadows, so when it emerges, it feels undeniable. This is not about being sneaky. It's about being intelligent. It's about understanding that true psychological power doesn't boast or threaten. It simply exists, undeniable and unavoidable. And here's the ultimate truth. If you fail to master these principles, someone who already understands them will dominate you. This is not theory, it's happening right now. Every day, manipulative individuals exploit those who cling to fairness. Strategic predators elevate themselves over people who think good intentions are enough. You either learn the rules of psychological warfare or remain a pawn in someone else's game. The world has conditioned you to believe that mastering these dark truths is wrong, that being strategically ruthless makes you bad. But that is precisely the lie that keeps you weak. They want you predictable. They want you soft. They want you easy to control. Because while you hesitate to use these principles, they are already using them against you. Every day you delay is another day someone more cunning is taking the opportunities you wanted. Every day you choose to be nice instead of strategically formidable, you hand ammunition to those who exploit kindness as weakness. The world doesn't need more naive optimists who finish last. It needs individuals who grasp reality, who understand influence, and who are willing to wield it. So here is your choice. Stripped of illusions, remain a victim of psychological dominance, or step into the role of the dominant. Deny reality and be controlled, or embrace it and become uncontrollable. You declared you refuse to be dominated, now prove it. Stop waiting for fairness. Stop begging for respect. Build perception, shape narrative, enforce systems, and cultivate silent dominance. Because while you hesitate, dangerous people are already deciding what to do with you.